First off, thank you everyone for joining. I know there's a lot going on right now, so taking the time and that shows me that you want to get better, you want to be part of the conversation, and I love that. So thank you. And just a quick layout of how it's going to go. First, I'm going to talk about the playbook, the fully equipped playbook, which is everyone who signed up, who joined. The free copy will be sent out in the newsletter on Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. And we'll just go through each tool real quick and, talk about how during this time you can really sharpen them and really take advantage of this time. But first, let me just introduce our guest, John Kelley. I met John in 2007. His wife, Jill, and my wife were best friends growing up. And when I met John, I believe you were the defensive line coach at North Carolina Central.
Yep.
And then fast forward 2014, he was hired as a head coach at Quince High School. And since then, in 2018, won the state championship, 3 state championship game appearances, 4 regional titles. I believe close to 30 or over 30 players that he's coached are now playing college football. And he was a great athlete himself, playing college football at Towson, 2000 to 2004. I believe he was DN, just causing ruckus on that quarterback. So I thought John would be perfect to talk to just about the state of athletics in high school, what the future could hold, and what athletes should be doing right now. I'm not sure if more people are going to trickle in, but the good thing is this time I recorded it. I am recording, so I'll have this footage, and it'll just be good to tape it. And, anyone who isn't able to make it tonight will be able to see this, and, I really hope can learn a lot from it. So, yeah, thank you, John, for joining us. I know you got 3 young kids like I do, so time is valuable. So thank you, man.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so real quick, before John and I get into stuff and have a conversation about high school athletics, I'm just kind of going to go through the playbook here, each tool just real quick, and tell you how I feel like athletes out there now really can utilize this time and try to sharpen each and every tool, starting with humility. The number one tool, the most important, I think. Obviously, all the time you want to be a good person, a good teammate, but especially during this time. I actually got off a Zoom with my college baseball coach at UVA, Brian O'Connor, and he was telling me how much he relies on the coaches that he knows in the high school area, the junior colleges, where he recruits those players, because the coaching staff can't really go out and see all the players in person. So they're really, hoping that they can really trust these high school coaches. And for players out there, if you're showing you're a great teammate, if you're a good person, that's what the high school coach is going to say to these college coaches and everyone else who is recruiting you. So now more than ever, really focus on that, because these coaches can't come and see you in person, these college coaches. So they can't really see your body language, stuff like that. I know they're doing virtual showcases where they can see some video and all that, but it's not the same. So just remember that, everyone's watching what you're doing, especially your high school coach right now, or whatever level you're at. So really focus on that and really just try to be the best teammate you can be, because that is what's going to keep you evolving in your career. Tool number 2, mindset. And especially a time like now, it's hard to have that motivation. It's probably easy to get down because you just don't know what the future is. You want to be out there playing sports. So as much as you can, try to have that positive mindset. And really, you're not able to get the physical reps in possibly like with the team together at an academy, you can, but since the physical reps are probably limited, really try to get as many mental reps as you can, or just try to strengthen your mental game, whether that's reading different books. For baseball players, a book, Heads Up Baseball by Ken Ravizza. He was my sports psychologist with the Tampa Bay Rays. Highly recommend that. Learn different, maybe go into do meditation and really learn how to do that properly. Little things like that. Visualization is one of my favorites. Really learn these new ways to bring your mental game above where it is right now. And you'll realize once we come out of this, you're going to be steps ahead of everyone else who really isn't doing this. And John, if you have anything you want to chime in with, please go ahead. And then, so Tool number 3, functional training. I know there's probably, gyms are open, getting together with your high school teams. I don't know if that's going to last. I don't know what it is in different parts of the country. But if you're not able to, and you don't have a lot of stuff at home, try to invest, maybe go buy a bag of sand or, just anything heavy in your house and try to get lunges in, try to do something functional. Obviously you can just go outside and do sprints and do agility and do stuff like that. Really anything you can to try to, I was talking about mindset, but now functional training to really try to elevate your body as well and get in the best shape possible. So that's functional training. Next is tool number 4, nutrition. I actually am happy. I just got certified in sports nutrition as a sports nutrition specialist. So nutrition has always been a passion of mine, something I've really been into. And during this time, if any of you want a meal plan, good foods to eat, stuff, when to eat, how to eat, talk about meal timing, I would love to talk to you about it. It's always been a passion. But for now, just really concentrate on eating real food. Start with that and then kind of build from there. Tool number 5, goal setting. During this time, who knows how long it's going to go, but say it's 3, 4, 5 more months. Set a goal. Say, okay, 4 months from now, I want to get faster. I want to get in better shape. I want to really get my body at peak level. So I'm going to concentrate on sleeping 8 to 10 hours every night. If you can do that and set these goals, you'll have something to work towards during this time. So really think about what you want to do during this time and the goals that you can set to help you get you there. Next is one of my favorite, breathing. Currently, I'm taking a course right now to try to equip myself, if you will, to even higher level of different breathing techniques that have personally helped me so much in my career and helped so many other people. So if during this time you can go and learn different breathing techniques, breath counts, how to slow the game down, how to slow your mind down. I know this is tough because you're not actually playing games right now, but if you can learn this stuff and equip yourself with all of these tools, especially breathing, when we come out of this and you start playing games again, you will notice such a big difference. So really look into that. Next is routine. And this is one I really wanted to talk about today. And it's a big reason why yesterday I posted about the quote I did from Aristotle, which is, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." Setting a routine, especially during this time, is just going to set you up each and every day and something you can build off of to get you to where you want to be. So you have your goals, but then if you have a set routine, you have good habits and you're disciplined, that's only going to help you get to where you want to go. And an example for me, I know I'm not in high school, but if, a routine that you could possibly have is maybe wake up in the morning, take an ice cold shower to wake your body up, wake your mind up, eat a healthy breakfast, do schoolwork, get your physical activity in for the day, whatever it may be, get a snack in, get lunch in, do whatever relaxes you, whether that's video games, whatever. Let your mind go free and do whatever you want to do there. And then get a good dinner in, maybe some more physical work. Maybe that's when you get mental work in. If you set a routine and stick to it, you'll be amazed whenever we start playing games again and all that stuff, you will feel so good and feel so confident going into whatever sport you're going into. So really focus on routine. Tool number 9, support system. And this one is really important right now just because, everyone's mind is probably not in the best place, especially the athletes who just want to get outside and play. So if you can use this time to build, if you don't have that support system, try to build it, find a mentor, or just, really rely on your friends, your families, your coaches. Someone like John, I'm sure his athletes are reaching out, talking to him, helping them get through this time. And those kind of people can hold you accountable to make sure you're doing what you need to be doing to get to where you want to go. And lastly is passion. Like I said earlier, it's hard to have that motivation right now because we don't know what the future could hold. It's so up in the air. But maybe you don't know exactly what you're passionate about, so you can use this time to really figure out what you're passionate about. And once you do, just go all in, have no regrets and just just do whatever you can do to get to where you want to go. And that's the 10 tools. So now we're going to just ask John some questions here. So John, first I wanted to ask you, I know you kind of have the pulse on what's going on. I know VHSL came out with something a couple days ago, but if you can kind of just get us up to date with the latest plan for Maryland, DC, Virginia. I know there's probably athletes from all over the country, but just for our area, what the latest is.
Yeah, so pretty much for the DMV, there as you kind of just talked about, there's not going to be any fall sports, or winter sports really being played in this area, really until we get into January, maybe end of December or early January is when things are proposed to start back up again. So you got like DC, for example, I believe is going to try to start in the middle of December with winter sports. Fall sports will get pushed back. Fall sports will start in February, March, and April for football. Other sports and the kind of spring sports will kind of piggyback on the end of those. Same thing kind of in Virginia. So Virginia is proposing again too for fall sports to kind of start mid-February for practices, games in March and April, and then spring sports would start after that, and then winter sports a little bit earlier, mid-December and January. It would overlap just a little bit. Maryland has still not really made a firm decision yet as like a governing athletic body. So they're actually still on track to start the first day of practice August 12th, which is then, coming here in 10 days. But really 75% of the state has already said they're not playing in the fall, sports-wise. So now it's kind of just what's going to happen with that date. Is it going to be pushed? I think it's going to get pushed further back. And what will end up happening is, sports will be played, similar to what DC and Virginia are doing. Maryland school districts, will start learn in-person sports again sometime in January.
Wow, that's just crazy, honestly. The fact that these high school kids, senior or juniors can possibly miss another season is nuts to me. I just can't imagine being in that situation. If you could pick a plan that's out there right now, is there one that jumps out to you, or one that you maybe isn't even out there, but you would suggest that you think would be best?
Yeah, man, I think I kind of actually like a lot what Virginia's doing and what DC is doing. I think they're both pretty good. I think anyway, because here's the thing, right? I don't think at this point everyone understands, especially for high school athletics, you're not going to get a full season in, what it normally might be. So even if it's condensed down and you're telling kids they can play 7 or 8 regular season games and then play some playoffs, that's fine. Just to give the kids something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Kind of like you said, we were talking earlier, I think an important word too is purpose. They need to have some purpose. So something that they can look forward to and have a purpose to get ready for. Whenever that is, whether they're going to start in January, February, or other athletes that are going to start in, because there's baseball players and lacrosse players all across the area who lost their season last year. So they need to get ready to start. It'll be a year for them, before they start back up again.
That's nuts, because right now there are some travel leagues going on, and I was talking to my buddy in Virginia, his son's playing t-ball and little league. So those are going on, but the high school stuff isn't.
Yes, that's kind of the weird thing, to be honest with you, is that you can go all across the state of Maryland and Virginia too, some places in Virginia, and you can find an AAU lacrosse game, an AAU lacrosse game, baseball game, basketball games, kind of going on all over the place. But it's high school sports that are governed, at the high school level that you do not see going on. You can't, I can't do anything with my athletes. I can't even work out with them outside, in small groups.
Really?
So yeah, we've done nothing since March 15th. But there's other areas around here that have done some stuff. I think it's all going to stop pretty soon, that's what I've heard.
So if you're not able to really work with your guys, what are you recommending they do? Are they going to local gyms? Or are they doing stuff at home? How's that working?
Yeah, so we've been, I've had some contact with them, just on like we have a group, group me app and can talk to them that way, just kind of check on everybody, see how they're doing. I'd say for the most part, guys are, because the thing is, it's like you said, it's a habit for them. It's a habit. The training is such a habit that if they don't do it, it just they don't feel right almost. So most guys have been able to train. We've sent them some workout stuff they can do from home, and trying to keep in contact with them as best we can, just to keep them active and kind of keep them engaged and keep them going.
Yeah. Dude, I just the more I even like talk about this, I just can't believe what they're going through. It's just so nuts.
To be honest with you, it's something that like you never think would happen. Like you don't ever think that it's like it's a movie. Is this a movie? Sometimes like I ask myself, is this a movie? But yeah, it's unprecedented.
So I was gonna do you see ramifications down the road? Like, do you have players that you thought for sure were getting a college scholarship or something but that is like up in the air now? And how is that whole recruiting thing going for those players?
Yeah, so the biggest, the people that will be affected the most by this is, athletes really, again, anywhere across the country, where, their senior year is the year they're banking on to have the most impact on their recruiting process. The guys that are going to Michigan, Florida State, Alabama, this won't affect them at all if they're not playing football in the fall. It's the guys that will be going to the smaller schools, Frostburg State, Shepherd, Fort Valley State, places like that, Frostburg and McDaniel colleges that are a little bit smaller, but still recruit tons of guys.
Mm-hmm.
If guys have an opportunity to perform their senior year, those are the players that are going to miss out the most.
Mm-hmm.
The NCAA, there's a few things the NCAA might do. They could move their recruiting calendar around a little bit for all sports. That would help those guys if we do play spring football around the country. So if that happens, that'd be beneficial for those guys. But we've got, I'd probably say 3 or 4 guys on our team alone that their senior year, I know they would have gotten scholarships, just by playing as a senior. So
wow.
It's tough, very tough.
Yeah, when you say that, it makes me think of the MLB baseball draft this year. Because their season was cut short, I think it was only a 5-round draft as opposed to, I don't know how much it usually is, 30 or 40 rounds, whatever it usually is. So it was just 5 rounds. And then a lot of the guys, like say you got off to a slow start or something, and then if usually you finish strong and that's when all the scouts see you, well, you didn't get that chance for them to see you.
Yep.
So then now you're probably not drafted, so you're going back for another year.
Yep.
So it really just, it affects every level. And I remember when I was in high school, I didn't really have a great baseball year until the summer of my junior season. So if I would have lost all that time to even play, I don't know, what my future would have held, because I wouldn't have had that time to play and really play in front of the scouts and show them what I can do. So it just, I feel like so many players are in that situation. So like I sympathize with them, and I feel, man, it's got to be just tough. But the thing is, I'm sorry, real quick. The thing is, everyone's in it. Like if I'm in that situation, it's just knowing that you're not the only one dealing with it. Everyone is dealing with it, and it's what you're going to make of it. And just know that a lot of people out there probably aren't going to be doing, if you're putting in the work, a lot of people out there probably aren't going to be doing that extra work. So you come out better. But yeah, what were you going to say?
I was going to kind of allude to that point right there, that the separator will be when we kind of come back. Guys that were able to kind of motivate themselves and kind of be, have that kind of burning fire inside themselves. Those are going to be the guys that are going to be able, they're going to be okay. Those things will work out for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that kind of, you got to, like you said, you have to win the mental game, because right now this whole is a mental game. Everything that's going on right now for the athletes, especially, it's a mental part.
Yeah, I mean, do you envision like kids being held back or anything like that? Has that been talked about, just so that they can get an extra season or, anything like that?
Yes, I've heard some guys talk about that, and some players, kicking that idea around. I know the state of New Jersey actually made it. It's a thing. They're going to do it. So kids that are going to be, coming up to be seniors will have the option in New Jersey to graduate high school and then come back and play their 5th year of high school football and take 12 credits at a community college, and then they can move on to college afterwards in order to get a normal senior year.
Really?
The New Jersey's Athletic Association, state association, work with the NCAA to approve it. So.
Wow. So they can graduate high school,
Yep.
and then still play the next year. I wonder how many will do that. I guess if you don't have the scholarship or whatever situation, but
that's
in a way you're losing time in college. Then you're older. That could affect you the next level, the draft, and whatnot. Who knows?
So it would probably be the kid. Like I said, the kid that would do it would be the kid who's a senior who needs that. He probably doesn't have any scholarship offers. But if he got one more year of high school football, he would. He'd be able to do that. So really pound the super guys that are going to go to the big schools. They're not going to do it. It'll be the other
guys. So for you, when you're talking to, or college coaches are reaching out to you, like I said earlier, my college coach was saying that he's really relying on the high school coaches who he has a good relationship with to count on them to let them know how good this player really is, because maybe they can't see him in person now and whatnot. Like, are college coaches reaching out to you about that? And, what are they really asking for the most? I'm guessing they want to get to know what the player's like. They can talk to him on the phone, but you can really only learn so much. So I'm sure they're reaching out to be like, all right, what's he, we know he's a good athlete, but what's he like as a person and all that stuff,
Yeah, no doubt. And that's, one of the first things that, the coaches usually ask is they're asking about their grades and their character. That's two of the things that come up. What kind of student they are in the classroom, what kind of character they have off the field. And the next question they ask is, do they love football? Speaking from, a recruiting standpoint from football. They want to know, do they love to play the game? Those three things above everything else are usually the first three things that come up. Because again, they're recruiting a guy that's going to be in their program for 4 or 5 years. They want to make sure he has good character. Obviously, academically, he does what he's supposed to do. He's a good teammate. Can he relate to his teammates? Does he get along with others well? Can he, problem solve? And, all those things right there are all components that they, want to know about a guy before they'll actually get deep into the recruiting process.
Yeah, I mean, you see it all the time where someone is so talented, but they don't have the other intangibles. So that just that just derails them. And I don't think a lot of high school athletes really think about that. Yep. Some do for sure, but not enough really think about, okay, yeah, I have the physical talent, but what am I like as a teammate, and what else am I doing to make the most of that physical talent? So like you said, that's huge.
One thing we do with our kids, we the last couple of years, we've done a lot with leadership development. So we spent a lot of time with these guys on, just because, again, I do think that there's a certain part of a leader that, you have or you don't. But I also think there's a lot we can teach the young guys about how to be a leader, how to do things the right way. And that's been a big bonus for us and these kids, not only develop them as a player, but just off the field stuff from a leadership standpoint. And I think we're just scratching the surface with it too. So I'm excited what we're going to do with it kind of down the road on things that we just talked about, so it could be good.
That's awesome. Yeah, you saying that made me think of this sign we had in our gym in high school. It's character is who you are when no one's watching. So especially during this time when you're going to be at home most of the time, no one's going to be watching you.
Yep.
That's really going to show what kind of character you have. Are you going to use that time to sit and play video games all day? Are you going to stay up all night? Or are you going to use that time to really hone in on your craft and do whatever you can? So yeah, like you said, when people come back, like you said, it's going to be a huge separator. Like, you're probably going to see people come back, whenever it is, people come back night and day different, whether good or bad, from when this all started. So it could change a lot. It really could. Anything else that athletes should be doing during this time? I know you hit on a lot. I tried to hit on some stuff, but anything else that jumps out to you that you think is crucial?
Yeah, I would say I think one of the most important things is try to, I'm not sure what the fall will look like, especially in our area, the DMV with youth sports. But, just stay active. That's the bottom line, in my opinion. Obviously, like you were saying, from a team competition standpoint, that could be limited, but that doesn't stop you from going out and just doing the most basic things. Of course, ride your bike, right? Go run around the yard. Just do things to keep yourself active as a kid, even the young athletes, just because that's good for your mind as well, right? Staying inside all day is just not good for you psychologically. You have to be able to get outside and do stuff. Even again, like I said, it's not a normal, baseball practice, lacrosse practice, football practice. Get outside at least 60 minutes a day and do something, whatever it might be, and take that time for yourself.
So what is the typical, when the school year starts, what's the virtual training like? What are their hours that they have to put into school usually?
Yeah, so I think it's going to change a little bit. I think the virtual this year, for a high school kid, is going to be similar to a normal day. So it's going to be like a 7:45 start and like a 2:25 end time. And it's going to almost go through like the normal day. So like the first period might be virtual. So like from 7:45, 8:30, they're in first period virtually, and then from for the other next 45 minutes, they're in second period virtually. And they kind of go through all 8 periods of the day virtually, and they're done, by 2, whatever it might be. Now, some classes might not last the full 45 minutes, but that window of time will begin when the next 45-minute block kind of starts up. And I'm not positive, but I think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. During this whole time, I never even, I guess in my head I thought, but I never really realized what the typical day was going to be like.
Yeah.
I guess in my head I was like, it might be just like an hour or two, and then they have the rest of the day to do whatever they want to do. But that being said, if they're done at 2, all these athletes, they have from 2 to whenever they go to bed to get that work in.
Plenty of time.
Yeah. So are you like writing up programs for them to hopefully follow? Do you try to? I feel like my college coach was saying he has people send him like videos of them hitting and stuff like that. Is that something going on now, like more virtual training?
Yeah, we've done some stuff like that, but I'll be completely honest with you, I have not completely got on board with the virtual. It's like we got 100 kids, so for us to do that, it's just not very practical, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we'll send out stuff for them to do. And then most of them get on board. A lot of our guys signed up for, there's a fitness class all summer long that was offered at a gym across the street from our place. So a bunch of our guys are up there, I'd say probably 60, 70 guys, 3 days a week working out, doing stuff up there. So that's kind of how we've kind of let them go.
And that's still open, like they're still able to do that?
Yeah, it's outside. Yep. I have no kind of connection with it or correlation to it. So it's just kind of, I heard they're going, I know they go up there, but I don't, based on the rules and regulations, I'm not allowed to be there with them.
So you're not allowed to be in person with any of your athletes this whole time?
Yeah,
well, what's the reason? What do you think the reason is for that?
I guess just for, health and safety, I guess. That's the only thing I can kind of come up with, But there's other counties around here that, Frederick County, just north of us, where that's at. They've been able to work out their kids.
There's
other counties in the state that have been, but Montgomery County just hasn't let the high school kids work out the high school coaches, since March 15th.
Dude, Montgomery County's strict. You saw the other day they came out with where they're ordering private schools to just do virtual.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that was even possible. I know that the private schools are going to try to fight so that doesn't happen, but I didn't even know that they could do that. In Montgomery County, I've got to give them props. Like, I think the rates are going down. Like, everyone, like, it's looking good here.
Yes.
But to go that level and make all the private schools decide, like, make them do virtual, that's kind of unheard of. But at the same time, we're in unheard of times. So
yeah, I was surprised when I saw that. And like you said, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the next couple of weeks with that.
Yeah, because I wonder if that could change. Do you see people like transferring from schools now or anything like that? Is that something that could happen? Because maybe they'll go to a county that's less strict so that they can play that year or something.
So it's been more so like in the DMV where you have, there is talk and, some kids, were talking about if the public schools can't play, then they'll go to the private schools and play, but
Yeah.
all the private schools aren't playing either, so really there's almost nowhere for kids to go unless you want to move out of state,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely going to play. I think Pennsylvania might play. I think West Virginia might play, but as far as Maryland, DC, Virginia, those schools aren't going to play, private or public.
Wow. Whew. All right. So I know no one's typed in. Everyone's muted. No one's typed in on the chat. I don't know if anyone wants to do question and answer, anything for John or I. You can feel free. I can try to unmute everyone here and see how that goes. If I can figure that out.
I think people can unmute themselves. So let me.
All right, yeah, I just unmuted. So if anyone wants to ask us any questions, feel free to do a little quick Q&A here.
Yeah.
What?
Anybody?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Look at the chat.
Paper?
People can do themselves, and then it's.
In Virginia, football is moving.
He
What's up, Chris? How you doing, man?
Right.
Chris Winter, my sleep doctor with the Cleveland Indians. Awesome guy. In Virginia, football is moving. Yeah, John, this will be a good one for you. Do you think Virginia moving into the spring is going to affect how kids play football?
Yeah, so I guess the question means from like a okay.
Oh, that. Here, let me mute everybody, John, so that you're not. All right, John, can you hear me? You good, John?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. We're good now.
You want to answer that again?
Yeah, if you could.
Yeah, so in Virginia, like I said, I think the question was, tell me if I'm wrong, I think kids will be able to play, more than one sport. They can play football and baseball. They can play basketball and football because the seasons are going to be spread out, kind of over time so the athletes are able to kind of do all that, not get pigeonholed into, picking one sport, not being able to play the other.
So I'm guessing you have a lot of multi-sport athletes on your football team. Is any of it throwing up in the air, like, oh, maybe I'm not going to play football, or maybe I'm not going to play baseball just so I can focus on this one sport?
I'll be honest with you. We don't have a ton of multi-sport guys on our team.
Really?
Yeah, we do have some. Most of our guys are track. They'll be like track and football guys.
Okay.
A few guys that do baseball, a few guys that do lacrosse, but for the overall majority, they're football guys. But who it could affect is the smaller schools. We have an enrollment of over 2,000 kids. So if you go to a high school out in Western Maryland or some of the schools down in Southwestern Virginia, the enrollment at those schools is 500 or 600 kids total. Kids are going to have to play back-to-back seasons, like boom, like all together.
Dude, that's a grind.
Yeah, but the way I look at it though is, like we were one. They're 16, 17, 15. They can do it.
Oh yeah, and you'll be in shape and just go right into the next thing, right?
Yeah.
But speaking about the two sports, so what do you think the reason is that a lot of people at QO don't play multi-sports? They're just so into football, or what do you think? What do you think it is?
So I mean, I would say it's a combination of a couple things. I think a lot of our sport, like our basketball, the basketball team, for example, is like year round. I mean, they're playing tournaments and they're playing AAU stuff, and if you're not consistently there, it's kind of a little bit harder, And then football, like I said, we do have most of our guys will do spring track is what they'll do, and we'll have, like I said, we'll have 2 or 3 baseball players or 2 or 3 lacrosse players, at the same time. but it's kind of always, we just have so many kids in the building, you know, and a lot of kids gravitate in our building, do just gravitate towards football, but they gravitate towards all sports. But for some reason, we just don't have a ton of multi-sport guys. Even though in high school I was a multi-sport guy, I did lacrosse, football, and wrestling for 3 straight years.
Yeah, that's why when you said that, I knew that it wasn't like something that you were suggesting to them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, just play football, like it'll be the best. That's why I figured that. Yeah, that's interesting.
I tell them, like, go do something else. You don't have to lift with us and run with us. I mean, January through January through August, we're conditioning 4 days a week with those guys. Guys that aren't playing. My rule is this: I tell guys, you're either playing another sport or you're training with us. You're not just going home after school.
Mm-hmm.
No one just goes home after school, you know. So when the day's over at 2:25, you're going to come and lift and run with the football training program, or you're going to go play basketball, baseball, lacrosse, whatever, track.
Got to, and that's why the fact that everyone's just going to be at home right now, I just really wonder, you know, how they're going to take it upon themselves. Like, no one's going to be checking in on them. So, right. You know, it's really interesting how it's going to go and how it's going to play out. You know,
to be honest, right? There's going to be a lot of untrained people. There's just nothing. They're kids. You know, they're not going to work as hard as they are if I was with them. They're just not. You know, it's not really possible. And plus the access to stuff, right? Some don't have access to the weight room and things like that. So
exactly. Yeah. And then that brings up when they're coming back and there's a season in the spring, if they haven't been doing much, that brings up like what injuries could come of it and stuff like that. Like there's so much more that goes into it, you know?
That's one thing we did do. We gave out an injury prevention program to our kids. We gave them, they got a lacrosse ball, a roller, and a band. And it was really just all lower body injury prevention for ligaments and tendons. It was like a 6-week program that they did back in April.
Like you're talking about like foam rolls, stuff like that?
Yeah, foam rolls, the lacrosse ball, band stretches for all their like shoulders and joints and stuff like that to kind of keep them somewhat doing stuff when they weren't really doing as much as they should have been. Kind of.
It's crazy. The foam roll and stuff like that, when we were in high school, I'd never even heard of that. And now there's so many tools out there that they can use. I was going to talk about that for recovery, but I just wanted to get on sleep and harp on really trying to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. That's like the number one thing they can do right now, especially being home. You know, they don't have to wake up super early to get to school. You might still have that first class at 7 in the morning or whatever, but you know, you have so much more time where you can just stay up late at night because you don't have to get ready. So that's why sleep is the number one way to recover. But that foam roll and stretching, yoga, whatever, can just help you take it to the next level. All right, we got another question here. Will evaluation of a player's use of this time be factored into the recruiting process?
I would say no. I mean, I would say, like, for me, I'm not going to, from a college coach's stand, it's going to be reflective maybe on how successful they are, you know, but I wouldn't, if a kid wasn't able to train as hard, you know, I wouldn't say to him, you know, or tell a coach not to recruit the kid because of that, because they didn't have access to something, you know, but for the most part, the kids that are going to train consistently are the ones that are going to end up, you know, with the opportunities to play in college, in my opinion.
For sure. I'm trying to think. So the college coach is saying how their showcases now, you know, the technology is crazy how they have like live feed. So like the coaches can watch when they're at a showcase and have like exit velocity and show the mile per hour of a pitcher. So at least nowadays there is that technology if they're able to play a travel sport or something like that where they can be seen. But like you said, who knows how much longer a travel sport will even be able to happen.
Correct.
So that could go away. That's when recruiting really gets thrown into the wind, and who knows, you know.
Hopefully the NCAA allows, because right now there's no evaluation periods allowed. So typically like coaches, college coaches, like the baseball coaches, football coaches, lacrosse coaches, they can go see kids play, like right now, depending on your sport. But it's a dead period. The NCAA extended the dead period through August. So hopefully the NCAA opens up the dead period where these coaches can come watch athletes work out once we get into September and October. And that'll help. That'll help kids like that.
For sure. John, a good routine is nothing if you're not disciplined enough to follow it. Preach discipline.
No
I hit on discipline earlier, but spot on. And this time, like we said, we've mentioned already that it's really going to show who's disciplined, who's not. Especially when you're in high school, there's so many distractions that could happen. You have all the social media nowadays, which is a whole other story. And yeah, I guess we could probably get into that in a second, but yeah, the discipline, if you can wake up and really set a good routine and be disciplined for this whole time, you'll be amazed of the results that you get from it. And just build on each day, habit, and have the routine based on the lifestyle you live and the goals that you're trying to achieve. And man, you can really take advantage of this tough time by doing that.
I think it goes back to what you said about the sleep then. Being disciplined enough to go to bed at a certain time, wake up at a certain time to have a certain routine, all requires discipline, right? All those things require some sort of self-discipline, some sort of self-motivation to kind of get done. With discipline, the basic fundamental principle.
Yeah, and there's so much more information out there now. Like for sleep, it wasn't until a little after 2010 that until the first sleep coach with the Tampa Bay Rays, that I really got a grasp of how important sleep is. So that you have that information, and there's just so much more stuff out there with the internet nowadays to really, if you don't know something, go to Google, try to find something out, or, there's people out there that you can really go to YouTube and you can teach yourself. So you might not be able to be around your coaches at this time, but you have all these other tools that you can reach out to or do research and can really help you get through it and learn new stuff,
No doubt.
But yeah, real quick, someone mentioned the social media, or I think you did. I don't know who did. Maybe I did. So yeah, what is that like in high school? Like, I just can't imagine, because for me, I had to stay away. I'm the most active I ever been on social media right now, just because during the season and when I was playing, I stayed away from it because, man, you have a bad game, someone's going to reach out to you, say just horrible things to you, whatnot, and you can get caught up in all that. So I can't imagine high school students now, college students, what level you're at, how that can affect your mind, how that can affect your psyche. So how do your players deal with all that?
For that, to be honest with you, I've told my players for years and years and years. Really, I'd say the last 4 or 5 years is when it's became, really a big thing and a problem. Usually, I'll be honest with you, in a typical school year, I'll probably deal with 3 or 4 problems a year that come up because of social media. Because of, something someone said on there or did something that was on social media, and then it becomes a bigger issue, So, as well as social media can be used for some positive things and some good messages, there's a lot of negative things that can come from it. And then also I feel like everyone's too much like this. There's always on their phone, and just like the Twitter and the Snapchat.
Guilty sometimes.
I do too. Trust me, I am too. 100%. Something I personally don't feel like the teenage brain is built to deal with Twitter. It's really not. It's almost like it's not fair. Because when you and I were growing up, not that long ago, but if you said something to somebody, maybe you said you said something mean to a person, or you had a bad day, but kids now they'll say that out loud, and now it's in stone because you said it, Even though they're just young and immature, they don't realize what they're doing, and it ends up getting them in trouble, When I don't think that they're just not. Their psyche is not ready to deal with that, with the ramifications of those things. That's the most unfair thing about it.
Dude, I could not agree more. The one thing is the positive side to it that I think could help in a recruiting. I don't know if this is a thing, but being able to show you outside training, or how people like to show what they're doing. I imagine college coaches, if they're really honing in on a guy, they're watching what he's doing on social media. So obviously there's guys out there that can do a quick video for a minute and act like they're working out hard. But those guys, you usually know if they are or not, and you'll be able to tell. But that super serious guy, if he's putting stuff out there and content out there and you can tell that he's actually putting the work in a way, social media, I feel like, especially during this time, could help out an athlete a lot.
100%. That what you're saying is one of the beneficial pieces that social media can have, is from that standpoint, being able to get, a video out quickly to a coach. I've done it, that could help the kids. So I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, no doubt. Sleep is a performance enhancing. You got that right, Chris. Oh, my wife chimed in. John, how are your players handling all this mentally? What, if any, feedback have you gotten?
Yeah, so I mean, it was tough. I'll be honest. When in Montgomery County, they actually canceled athletics. They straight up canceled. About a week and a half ago, they said they're going to cancel them.
Like all ages, everything?
For high school fall sports and winter sports.
Okay, so that's not travel ball and stuff like that?
No, just for high school, at the high school level.
Okay.
So when that happened, kids were just crushed. I mean, they were just like, the wind completely taken out of their sails that, there was going to be no athletics for them for the winter and the fall. So I've dealt with a lot of phone calls and conversations over the course of 3 or 4 days. Now Montgomery County's kind of coming along. They kind of, are willing to re-envision some things. So I think kids are starting to kind of get, they know that there's some hope that we're likely going to, as long as things, go on the right track, be able to have a season when we get to February, March, and April. So that's going to pick them up a little bit. But
for sure,
this has been hard for kids. Very, 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 very hard.
Yeah. No, like I said, I sympathize with them. Like it's got to be the hardest thing to go through. Something at that age. I was going to ask something, but I see someone else wrote something. What do you think of the NCAA allowing athletes to monetize their likeness largely through their social media followings? Do you think there will be a time where high schools will employ a social media coach? Interesting.
Yeah, so go over that question. They wrote monetize. I mean, they can make. I've heard a little bit about it. They make money off themselves or something, right?
Yeah, their likeness largely through. I guess if you have a big following, you be an influencer, because those big time college athletes have 100,000 followers. So I don't even know what the rule is nowadays if those guys can be getting paid for putting stuff out.
I wouldn't have a problem with it. The only rule I tell my guys on social media is don't talk trash to the other team the week of the game. I mean, you can say whatever
I haven't thought about that. Yeah.
I mean, you can say whatever you want. I don't care whatever else you want to say. Just don't give anybody any extra motivation. The team's playing. Because sometimes kids they'll talk trash about the opposing team about the play. I'm like, listen, we don't even see anybody's fire. You talk about whatever else you want, but don't talk about the team we're about to play.
So do they, after the game, do they talk trash and stuff like that? Like, how does that work nowadays?
Yeah, when the game's over, sometimes they do.
Man, times have changed, man. Times have changed. I guess you're coaching them, so you're around it, but I've been so far removed from that, so I don't even know how that would work.
Man, it's social media. Ooh, it's crazy.
Yeah, it makes your job that much harder, I imagine. Great stuff, man. John, I don't know if you have anything else or if anyone else has any questions. But yeah, that's been a great conversation. Yeah, John, anything else you want to let anyone know? I mean, you cover basically everything. So.
And I think, like you said, it's a great conversation. I'm glad we could talk tonight. And it was awesome. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you, you were trying to do a petition, correct? Of something the past couple of weeks. What was that again?
Yeah, so it was really, I didn't necessarily, someone else had started it. It was basically a petition to get Montgomery County to reconsider their decision to cancel fall and winter sports, which they since have.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I'm trying to make sure I covered everything. All right, yeah, guys. Go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say, so, fall and winter sports, I think, are going to have an avenue now in Montgomery County for this coming school year, hopefully.
Okay, great. Anything to get the kids back out there, obviously, in a safe way.
Yeah, no doubt.
And who knows what's going to happen with this virus. So what's set now could change. Who knows? But all you can control is what you can control. So focus on that, all you athletes.
I think what's important, what you just said right there. And that's something I got to tell myself a lot of times, is control what you can control, right? I mean, the kids can't control the fact that there's a virus going on. They can't play, right? There's nothing you can do about it, so it's not worth, kind of getting yourself upset and getting yourself down about it, because like what you just said, they can control their work ethic. They can control how hard they'll push themselves. And that's all they can control.
Totally, man. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Okay. Well, hey, thank you, John. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If any of you want to reach out and work, or like I said, I'm nutrition certified now, anything. My main mission here is to help each and every athlete reach their full potential. So anything you guys need, I'm retired now. This is what I do. So retired from baseball. I'm not working. So yeah, thank you again, John. Thanks for taking the time. And yeah, that's it, guys. See you later. Thanks for joining us.